All right, everyone, welcome back to the Golf Unfiltered podcast. A little bit later today. We wanted to wait around a little bit to see what would happen with the hardened criminal Scotty Scheffler, and if we did get any news that broke before we recorded. We got some news, but we'll talk more about that. You see Trevor Riesk there. You see Dan Hauser. Nikki Dunnigan may be joining us in a little bit. She had some stuff going on, but we will include her if she pops in. Gentlemen, good to see both of you. Trevor, I like the hoodie. I like the hat there, Dan. I've got my hat for True Linkswear as well. Repping the brand, absolutely. Just as a quick reminder to all of you, of course, you can also rep the band and the brand, True Linkswear, by going to truelinkswear.com and using code Unfiltered15. They're the title sponsor of Golf Unfiltered. You could save 15% on your next purchase. They got some cool stuff, and they have more things coming very soon for the summer. Trevor, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. I've never felt more uncoordinated. I guess everything is reversed. So I was trying to point out the logo and I couldn't do it. But other than that, what a fun weekend. I had a blast, and it felt like the good old days, like when Twitter was still a viable source to interact with people. I got that vibe all weekend long, which was great. And the golf was good. So it was cool.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Dan, first of all, condolences. I know that NHL playoffs did not go the way that you wanted them to.
The playoffs went great. Yesterday didn't go well. What are we? Whoa,
that's right. Yesterday didn't.
Whoa. The playoffs are going phenomenally.
That's right. Good job.
Yesterday I was very unwell, but it's okay because I'll take solace in knowing that on Saturday, shout out to the 6-horse, because I did have a few pesos, so to say, on him. And he went ahead at 9 and won at 9-1. So, I'll take it where I can get it these days. Right. But yeah, yesterday was man, you know what? Listen, as far as you want to talk about, like you do certain stuff because you want the money to be fun. Like, I don't think we could have got any more fun yesterday than had Vic actually pulled it off, because that was, that was very fun. Very, very fun yesterday.
It was a really, really good time to watch. And I didn't watch the entirety of the 4th round yesterday, but I did watch the end. Of course, you want to catch the back 9 of a major, on Sunday. And I was able to do that. We got everything done in the morning that we needed to get done. You guys know I got the new puppy, and so he's just a complete maniac, and we have to make sure he's okay and settled down. And so we're getting him used to golf as well. But obviously the 2024 PGA Championship has now come and gone. We've got so much to talk about. We could make this a 2-hour podcast. It started on Monday when news broke that Rory McIlroy filed for divorce the day after winning at Wells Fargo, Quail Hollow. This was something that I don't think any of us expected. Of course, nobody did. Would you guys say that it became big news? Would that have been the biggest news of the week until we get to eventually what we're going to talk about with Scotty? But was that the big thing there, Dan, with Rory filing for divorce?
It was certainly the story that took up the front half of the week pre, the actual balls being hit on Thursday. I think that had Friday not happened, I mean, regardless, it was the pre-tournament story of the week. Absolutely. Because what happened Friday happened during the tournament play. It definitely came as a shock to me. I will admit that since I moved out of Jupiter, I'm not quite as dialed in with the hip happening things going on in Jupiter anymore these days. So maybe if I was still living down there, I would have heard, rumblings or rumors or seen something. But it definitely came as a shock to me. And obviously, because of the timing, it definitely became the pre-tournament story of the first couple days.
Yeah, it was an interesting story to say the least. And, Trevor, I think it's one of those things where we hold these players and these athletes in such high regard, of course. I mean, Rory, we didn't know a ton about his personal life, but we knew, of course, Poppy, his daughter, and then, of course, Erica, his soon-to-be ex-wife. I mean, your reaction just kind of hearing the news come through the wire.
Yeah, I mean, it was shocking. Didn't see that coming. Didn't have that on my PGA Championship bingo card for the week.
Hey.
That's
a Danism.
Were they together at Augusta? Like, did she show up for the par 3? I don't remember.
I don't believe because I don't think he played in the par 3, did he? I don't remember. I don't remember her being there, but she was in the past.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's also interesting that he didn't. Now that we think about it, he didn't play because he has played in the past, and I think last year he even had Poppy out there in the little baby onesie jumpsuit, and obviously, not so much this year.
But yeah, it's wild, and a lot of people trying to say that maybe this is going to affect him on the golf course or whatever. I will speak from the divorced perspective here. I am divorced, and when I was going through all of that, there was nothing better than playing golf. Honestly, like it's something else to think about while all that crap is going on. And so when I heard that and people were like, how did he just win on Sunday? How is he going to be in contention of the PGA? I mean, golf is the perfect distraction if you got something going on in your personal life. So I wasn't, like a lot of people, shocked that he won on this last Sunday. Yeah, it was just surprising. I mean, Rory has that reputation of just being a family man, being a great guy, and obviously we don't know any of the details of why they're splitting up, but it was surprising. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to make one of those bad jokes like a lot of people made, where it's like, oh, now he can just focus on golf and he's got his pain in the ass ex-wife out of there, and I don't want to go down that road. That's a slippery slope. But yeah, it was shocking, and yeah, I think it would have been the biggest story. Obviously, like golf wise, Tiger was playing this week, which is always going to be up there. So that was rivaling that kind of hype. Yeah, it would have been, obviously. Certain other things happen later in the week, though.
They certainly did. And of course, we're referring to Scotty Scheffler spending a couple hours, a few hours actually, in jail Friday morning. So I live in the Central Time Zone, and I know Dan and Trevor, you're in Eastern Time Zone as well. And so I woke up and my phone was a flutter already of everything that was happening with the group chats that I'm in. And admittedly, when I first saw it, as many people did, I thought it was a joke. I'm like, okay, this can't be real. Scotty Scheffler? I mean, come on. He's not going to be in jail. So you've probably, if you're listening to this, know all the details by now. But, just as a quick high level, Scotty Scheffler was trying to drive around what he thought was a security guard he did not know, or at least he says he didn't know, was a Louisville police officer. There was obviously a very tragic shuttle bus accident prior to that caused a traffic jam, which is why Scotty was trying to drive around. And everything from that point forward to the point when Scotty Scheffler gets detained and then booked into jail remains cloudy. We don't know all of the details. Trevor, you and I were kind of talking before we got going here. How convenient that the arresting police officer did not have his body cam on. We don't know. I'm not going to be that guy and say meh, but your initial reaction, Trevor, to seeing the news unfold, one of the wildest things we've ever seen.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it really overshadows the fact that a man lost his life earlier that morning, and everyone was quick with Scotty Scheffler jokes and things like that. It's funny that the police officer's pants were damaged beyond repair. And I was just surprised at how quickly all of that happened. I mean, you're talking about like an hour or so where he was arrested, taken to jail, mugshot taken, and then relatively soon after that, he's back at the golf course. Like, I don't know how that works. I've never been arrested, knock on wood. But I can't imagine it's a quick process like the Louisville PD made it seem. And I guess he'll get his day in court, which was supposed to be today, postponed now till June 3rd. Also hearing things that the charges are going to be dropped. So I don't know how all that works out, but it was shocking because if you could pick one guy you would say is probably not going to get arrested, it would be Scotty Scheffler.
Right.
And the fact that he was stretching in his jail cell is hilarious. I don't know what kind of jail he was in. He was able to watch TV.
Right.
So again,
he got a sandwich.
Never arrested. So I don't know, but I can't imagine most jail cells have TV access. So just a wild series of events. for maybe the most clean-cut guy on tour. Now, if you said like John Daly got arrested, Tiger
like, oh, that makes
flipped
sense.
another car, that would make sense. But this was wild, and obviously he was running on pure adrenaline after that. I mean, he was able to put together a good round. Not so good on Saturday. We'll blame that on Ted Scott, and rallied on Sunday. So a lot going through that dude's head. You're talking about Rory contemplating divorce or going through with a divorce. Having a police officer jump on your car and go into jail, that seems like a lot to be thinking about.
Yeah. Alleged felon, Scotty Scheffler.
Alleged. Yeah, let's make sure for legal purposes we say alleged. Yeah.
Yeah. Dan, your takeaway from the incident, obviously there's a lot to talk about, but what were you thinking when it first happened?
Yeah, so I was up very early Friday morning. I had to take the wife to the airport for a dawn flight. So I was up at 5 a.m. I was already back home before everything transpired. So I got back home, fired up Twitter, and then saw the story about the guy tragically dying, and that was pushing back tee times. And so I, at that point, went and turned on ESPN because I'm like, let me see. That's crazy, sad, awful. Let me see what's going on now. Are they how long is it going to get postponed? Are they maybe going to cancel play for what's going to happen? Turn on ESPN, and then boom, there's Jeff Darlington saying, yeah, I just saw Scotty Scheffler basically get arrested. And I think I was the one who started the whole chain of events in group chat. I was like, good morning, everyone. If you're not awake, wake up now because something is happening. And I don't know if this is real or not, but something is not normal this morning in Lexington or Louisville.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think like the rest of us, I basically got nothing accomplished the rest of the day except for just sitting on my, how you're on your iPhones, like every week it tells you your usage and if it's gone up and down. Yeah. It went up like 9% just on Friday alone. I'm pretty sure I was on it for like 13 hours of the day because between constantly refreshing Twitter, which Trevor mentioned earlier, shout out to old school golf Twitter coming back, even if it was just for one day. That was a glorious, glorious day. Between that and then, of course, also trying to keep track of what was actually happening with the guys playing on the golf course at the same time while Scotty was sitting in jail. It was a very surreal day for us, obviously for him too. It was surreal for us because we just had to follow along with it. We didn't actually have to stretch and get warmed up in a jail cell like he did.
Play around in a major
and then go play around a golf too after that. I'm glad it didn't come to it. I would have been legitimately, I hate to say I was hoping for it because I wasn't actually hoping for it, but I was genuinely curious and was almost hoping if we were going to see what was going to happen. Like if he had not gotten released early enough and we ran into a situation where there was a chance he was going to miss his tee time, like I'm genuinely, legitimately curious if the PGA would have extended the delay until they had a better idea as far as what time he was going to get there, or if they would have used that special rule in the rule book about being able to adjust times back and basically let him go out on his own whatever time he showed up and play just essentially as a single and just basically kind of like what happens to us on a muni on a Saturday, like, oh, I'm late, the starter will just squeeze you in between two groups and just say, hey, get out there and just go, really quickly. Would we have seen something like that? I mean, what was their contingency plan? It didn't happen, but I'm legitimately curious to know what their contingency plan would have been or was, because I'm sure they had something somewhere planned. And so
you'd have to think. Yeah, you'd have to think. I mean, I don't know if they put, throw them out there, like you said, as a single with a marker and then just, get it in. But, the whole thing is just so weird to me. And we were hearing and seeing images of players in that traffic jam, of course, horrible tragedy that took place for the volunteer worker to lose his life because of the accident. But we also heard even prior to that, I remember seeing a press conference from, I believe it was Harris English, saying this was one of the worst traffic situations, period, for Valhalla. And I think that raises, before we even get to the play at the course, obviously the scores themselves were very low. We hear stuff that happens. I mean, obviously the outlier of the accidents and all that. I mean, I don't think we can fairly say that had anything to do with Valhalla. Maybe it did. I don't know. But the weather was a little spotty. I don't get the sense, guys, that Valhalla was getting a lot of love this week. I mean, Trevor, what did you think? Do you think they'll be back soon?
No. Yeah, it was, the golf course just didn't really have any teeth to it. With all the rain and stuff like that. And yeah, I 21 under par is obviously, 20 under par. Second place was a record for major championships. And obviously Xander shooting 21 under. This happens, like, I feel like way too much though, where we just criticize the golf course and it wasn't a true test, or whatever the case may be. The golf was awesome. I mean, like, I understand, like, the folks that want to protect par or make it a true test of golf. I get that, and that certainly has its merits. But I like seeing guys firing at flags and making birdies and trying to run each other down. I thought it was enjoyable to watch. Yeah, Valhalla will get some criticism moving forward, and I don't know where they fit in the future schedule of major championships, but it's hard to see them going there anytime soon, especially with all the scheduled majors that have already been put in place. Yeah, and was it Zalatoris that said he had to walk like a mile and a half, and then it became 2 miles? I don't know what he's saying today.
Yeah,
anymore.
And he told his parents not even to come, and he left the car with his wife and started walking. Yeah, that was a whole other thing. Yeah,
I mean, if you've been to a PGA tournament, there's most of these golf courses do not have a great parking situation. There's always shuttle buses and long lines and traffic, and it's a nightmare. I mean, the course I've been to most frequently is Congressional, and it for me, it just became like it's worth it to pay $50 to park in someone's front lawn. And then you could just walk on the golf course, because it's always a nightmare. Like Key Island is famous for having a terrible shuttle bus. Every golf writer in the world complains about that. But yeah, it happens. Now there obviously was a tragedy that made things a lot worse. But all that, just tie a bow on it. Yeah, I don't see them going to Valhalla anytime soon. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at some of the major championship future dates, and like they're out into like 2050 at this point. So
yeah, it's crazy.
Where are they going to fit in? I don't know.
Yeah. Dan, your takeaways from the course itself, did it meet your expectations?
So I think that, well, first off, if this wasn't just further selling point on roll, the need of the fact that we're going to roll the golf ball back. I mean, look at those. I mean, everyone was just placing the ball wherever they wanted to with ease. Weather and soft course, regardless of the fact that it was, because by the weekend it had dried out and it was warmer, so and whatnot. I think that the PGA of America was able to justify going there like they did because they owned it. And so even if everyone said this course sucks, okay, well, they own it. So obviously it is financially advantageous to them to go to golf courses they own. They don't own Valhalla anymore. So there's really no reason for them to prioritize it. Do I think it will never host another major? No, I'm sure eventually at some point it'll end up back in the rotation, but I don't think that the PGA of America has any reason to prioritize it or try to shove it back in somewhere anytime soon, because they don't own it anymore. And also because, everyone, they just absolutely every single player essentially tore it up. I got to find it real quick. If somebody wants to help me with stall while I pull it up, but Justin Ray had a
I got it right here.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, that's just, I mean, come on, like
lowest combined score par to par by field. Crazy.
I've never been, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the chaos and I love the carnage when we get these just truly hard majors. I've never been one to come out and say that it's not a true major unless everyone's shooting 7 over par. But if you want to put it up again, that number, that's ridiculous. It's just like
214.
It's quick math. It's what, almost 300 under par difference
from Riviera,
254 to Riviera. They were just the closest second. Like, there's probably tour events that are set up with numbers that aren't that staggeringly different. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
It was
and
rough.
I know expressed my frustrations with the PGA Tour this year on what they did with PGA National and made it super easy, but that made PGA National this year look like a PGA National of old as far as just ease at which these guys were firing at pins at will. So
yeah,
I don't think they're going to rush back there. They don't own it anymore, so there's no incentive for them to go back anytime soon.
Right.
And I'm always in the camp of, I don't necessarily care if it's 21 under par or 2 over par. I mean, it's the best guy always wins, you know? So I'm always like, they all got to play the same course. You know, golf is one of those, and we've talked about it many times on this show in the past. It's one of the only sports, there are very few like this, where everyone's got different equipment. It's all kind of in the same ballpark, but they're all going to perform differently based on the person that's hitting them, let alone the courses themselves and the weather variables. And it's what makes the game so great, as we all know, but it's also one of the biggest parity driven sports out there. And, you know, Trevor, you said it leading in, I was entertained as hell. I really had a good time watching this tournament. And it just so happened that, you know, Xander Schauffele finally wins his first major, 21 under par. He needed to bring it on Sunday because big boy Bryson was right there on his heels, man. First of all, what do we think about Bryson's play? We'll get to Xander. Dan, you go.
I'm trying to make, Adam, maybe you can help me here. I'm trying to think of the wrestling comparison. I can't think of somebody who so quickly and so elegantly and so unanimously made such a just spectacular face turn the way Bryson has as of late. I don't like, I can't
Everyone loves Bryson again.
It's just, it is truly stunningly amazing to me, the face turn that this guy has made. And a large reason for it is because he left the PGA Tour. Like, everyone's talking about these guys, you know, are awful for leaving the tour. But I think I can honestly say that with 100% certainty that Bryson, if nobody else did, Bryson absolutely made the right decision, and he helped his career by leaving, because now we get him 4 times a year, and now his quirkiness and weirdness and his 3D irons seem fun and cool and interesting, and not, you know, beating us over the head with it, you know, figuratively every week on the tour. But his face turn has been amazingly fascinating, and I'm gonna be honest, I think I'm back on the Bryson train. Like, I think I'm back. I don't know, like, especially seeing the video of him going after that guy who stole the golf ball from the kid and basically making him give it to that kid. Like, that's amazing.
That was
to
cool.
me. Like,
that was cool.
Right there, Bryson's got me right there. Like, if for no other reason, he's got me right there.
Easily swayed, my friend. Easily swayed. He's like the Kevin Nash.
There you go. That's a good comparison.
Trevor, what are your thoughts on Big Boy?
I wish I could tie it into pro wrestling.
How about Drake and Kendrick? Where does he land in that?
Well, he was Drake for a little while, and then I guess he's back to Kendrick. I had to have a long, hard look in the mirror Sunday night at myself, because I, like Dan, was kind of rooting for Bryson, and it was shocking.
So disappointed.
I mean, he became kind of a lovable goofball this past week, and I can't point to one specific reason. He's still the same weirdo, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's just that we don't see him as much anymore, and that's distance makes the heart grow fonder, I guess. I don't know. But he showed emotion that maybe he hadn't shown in the past, and he seemed to be interacting with the crowd, and you know, like, he just, I don't know. I forgot about what a dork he was a few years ago, and how much we were so sick of, like, him trying to be the smartest guy in every room, and we were tired of that. And then he goes away and is banished to YouTube or wherever he is, and I still don't know how to watch a live tournament. And it was, I don't know. It was kind of, I texted you guys yesterday. I was like, give me a playoff. I want to see it, you know? Unfortunately we didn't get that, but Well, he's got to be one of the favorites going into Pinehurst in a few weeks, right?
He's almost a novelty act now. I hate to say that about him because I know he does still play regularly on Live. Adam, I know you don't even get the channel that shows it.
No.
Trevor,
I think we do now. We do now.
Do you? Okay, I get it. I just don't have any interest in why. But I think because the overwhelming majority of the golf community now gets him 4 times a year. I think he's almost become a novelty act, which is probably part of the reason why we're all sitting here trying to figure out why it is that we're okay with him again. Because it's like,
I wouldn't say all of us, my friend.
Well,
I have to.
Listen, I don't know if I'm
foot down.
I don't know if I'm actually okay with him, but yesterday it was like, why is it that I'm like, I was like, Trevor, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm almost okay with him right now for a minute. Like, this isn't bothering me like it used to. It was very weird. It was very weird.
Yeah, listen, I don't necessarily disagree with you guys, but I gotta keep my affront up, and I have to say, listen, Bryson,
fair enough.
I may or may not have a autographed golf ball from that man, but he's too weird for me, and frankly, people on social understand my take on Bryson. Was it Aaron DeChambeau? It's funny, we were watching, and he's got his yardage book sticking out of the back pants pocket. It's got BAD on there for his initials. And my wife was like, well, that's fitting for him. She doesn't like him very much either. But there's really no reason to at this point. We are just haters, and at least I am. Thoroughly entertained watching him play golf. I agree with you. I think it's well, and I will go so far as to say he's probably one of the most entertaining people to watch play golf when he's playing well. He does things that are both stupid and completely nonsensical, and then he pulls them off, and then he finishes second in a major just out of nowhere. And I think he may have started the day like 6 back or so. He wasn't like right there. He was in the mix, but he had to come up, and he caught fire.
I think he started 4 back with Vic.
Okay,
I think he was in that top 10. So he couldn't have been more than 5 back because he was in the top 10. I know. I do know that. I don't know if he was 4 or 5 back.
He played hard. He played hard on Sunday too. He made some big putts.
He was 4 back because him and Vic were in the same pairing.
There you go. Well, and Vic, I mean, the resurgence to a degree of Victor Hovland. There were a lot of articles that were written and published saying, "Oh, this guy lost his way." Trevor, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. This guy kind of came back, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he was completely lost. Even as recently as last week. That's why golf is just the dumbest game of all time. I mean, it's just stupid. I'm playing golf tomorrow, and I haven't touched a golf club in like 3-4 weeks, and I'll probably go out and shoot my best round of the year. That's at least that's what I'm going to tell myself when I lay down to go to sleep tonight. You're gonna be great.
Good.
But yeah, obviously Dan has a vested interest in Vic pulling one of these out. And I hope for your sake that he does. He's awesome, and it was sad to see what happened for the better part of this year. People forget he was outright dominant at the end of the season last year. I mean, he's got the tools, he's got the head for it, and it was good to see him back contending again.
Yeah,
totally I don't think it's a coincidence either that he hired his old swing coach back last week, and then he almost won this week. I don't think that's a coincidence in the slightest. It was a bummer. Like I said, I was not well yesterday at times. So close. Definitely not going to get those odds again the rest of the year now too, because now all of a sudden people are seeing that he's back. So that would have been a sweet, sweet victory, to quote SpongeBob. But listen, it was fun. It was really good to see him back to his ways of the end of last year again. I think there was a point on the front nine where he had 4 or 5 straight birdies to take the lead. At one point, he actually did have the outright. At one point on the back nine, I think he actually did have the outright it was only for a few minutes, but he did have a 1-shot lead there. And then, I think, short of the fact that he left that he just did not play 18 very well. I think he just kind of ran out of holes because, nobody's really talking about it today, so I'll be happy to be the one to do it. But I don't understand how that final group was not at least given a warning yesterday, because
Seriously.
at one point they were 3 full holes behind Bryson and Vic, because Bryson and Vic were the penultimate group. And I think at one point they were teeing off on 14 while the final pairing was playing 11. So it was bad. I understand it's a major, and I understand that obviously you don't want to give anyone penalties during a major, but I don't even understand how they weren't even warned. Like, just at any point told, hey, speed it up a little bit, please. Like, your guys are 3 holes behind. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know?
That was rough. And it was one of those staggering things that you see on the scoreboard where it's, they have which hole they're on or which hole they just finished. I'm like, whoa, that's a big gap. But Vic came back, played hard as well, just like Bryson did. And of course, we finally get to Xander finally capturing his first major victory of his career. Long held the title, guys, as the best player to not have a major. Trevor, I mean, I think this marks possibly the new resurgence, I guess, I don't know if that's the right word, of a new crop of players. Everyone's been talking about Scotty. Everyone's talking about these guys. Xander was always that guy that didn't have it yet. Now he's got it. What did this do for his career in terms of trajectory in your mind?
Yeah, I think for him, it opens the floodgates. I mean, he's got an impressive streak in the majors in the past few years where he's finishing top 20 every single time. But he had that narrative even last week going up against Rory down the stretch. I mean, now Rory went nuts, but he had that reputation that, like, he can't close it out. He can't finish.
Yeah.
And he went out and earned it yesterday. I mean, he needed birdie on the 72nd hole, and tough lie in the fairway, got it done. And I think a lot gets made about, especially in golf, a player's mentality. And, he's got that monkey off of his back now. And I think, he's going to keep showing up in the top 20 in majors. I mean, I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. And now that he's got one, look out, he's excellent. He's got all the tools. So I'm excited for him. That was a cool moment to see, for sure.
Definitely. Dan, your takeaway from watching that last putt roll in?
Yeah, shout out to Lee Westwood for getting his moniker back of best to never win a major, because that is no longer in the realm of
This is him on my hat, by the way.
Yeah,
this Yeti. It's actually Lee Westwood.
There you go. Yeah, no, listen. Trevor basically summed it up. I think it was, you could say a long time coming. Also, now if you think about what hasn't he accomplished? Major, Ryder Cup. He has played on an Olympic team, correct? I believe
he won a gold medal, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
That's Olympic champion, Xander.
Yeah, Olympic champion.
Okay.
Ryder Cup
Mark
champion.
your golf ball with your gold medal is what I should be doing.
Now,
I don't know why he doesn't.
Now major winner. So, I mean, he's done it now. I don't think there's any reason for him to ever be overlooked again, because he's now, I understand that for 100 years there was no golf in the Olympics, but as far as, like, if you want to call it the modern day Triple Crown, now we can, like, Ryder Cup win, major win, Olympic gold medal, like,
I think it's just tough. Like, the one negative I'll say about Xander is he's kind of boring.
Yeah.
He's a quiet guy. I don't know a lot about him, but other than that, I mean, he's fantastic golfer, incredibly consistent. So yeah, it was awesome. And the fact that he had to make birdie on that last hole was
right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You always like to see him win it on the final hole, right? Like
he tried to miss that putt though.
He sure did. He got that in the side door. I mean, man, that thing was tracking right off to the edge there.
Also, can we talk about too? I mean, the fact that he even was in the position to make that birdie putt was because of that, like, miracle shot he hit, that he was standing in the bunker, but the ball was out. That
was wild.
The fact that, if anyone watched live from last night or saw on Twitter, I mean, just look at what Johnson Wagner did when he tried to recreate it. That just goes to show you how absolutely impossible that shot was to hit, and he hit it basically perfectly. I mean, he did hit it perfectly. He put himself just short of the green in a plush spot on the fairway, to just chip and putt from there. So
Johnson Wagner, the hardest working man in sports right now, I think we would all agree.
Hey, shout out to my fellow Virginia Tech Hokie, Johnson Wagner.
There you go.
By the way,
there you go.
Just want to get that in there. He was the star of the week for Golf Channel, and that's not possible without a Virginia Tech education. Just letting you know.
Fair. Hey, can't disprove it. Can't disprove that. 262s too, by the way. I mean, that was pretty damn impressive.
And Shane Lowry had a good look at 61.
He did.
You know.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers, Johnny Miller. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I tweeted that, like, we all used to get bent out of shape, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, Johnny Miller, someone's coming for that 63." That seems like a long time ago now.
Absolutely.
Like everything else in life, major scoring records have kept up for inflation. 62 is the new 63. That's all. I mean,
there you go. There you go. It's the new pandemic. These scores are going too low. Well, we covered a lot of ground. Obviously, we still have to wait more about the Scotty Scheffler ordeal. That's like Trevor, you had mentioned. He's the arraignment had gotten rescheduled to June 3rd, I believe you said, right? So we're going to see what happens there. God, just a wild story all around. Obviously, the golf world continues. We are right up against the clock here, but do we want to touch on anything else pop culture, guys? What else you guys got for me? I'm going to open it up for you all.
I learned today that Blocky's playing in the tour event this week. So apparently his 15 minutes of fame have continued to go into a second year now. We're still doing the Blocky thing. So
I don't understand it.
He was in like 1,000 commercials this weekend too.
It was insane.
But also, like, I understood when he got into all these tournaments post PGA Championship last year because he finished top. I mean, he didn't even make the cut. So under what grounds is he being given these now? Like, he's not playing well. Well, he didn't play well this the PGA. Like,
hey, he still has a chance to. He still has a chance to defend his title with DJ Khaled at the Celebrity Invitational tournament. So let's not sell that short, okay?
Very fair. Very fair. Yeah. I don't have anything else as far as, noteworthy news items outside of the world of sports.
Nelly won again.
That's right. Jeez, how did we
Nelly
forget?
Won. See, but that just goes to show
6 out of 8.
She wins so much now that we don't even think about talking about it because it's like another week, another Nelly win. Like
6 wins out of 8 starts.
That's just
Harrison Butker kiss her ass. That's all I gotta say. Good Lord. Man,
absolutely.
Fuck that guy too, by the way. It's my podcast. I can say whatever I want. The
Harrison we can go down that rabbit hole if you want. I got plenty of hashtag thoughts about him.
I told you guys I went down a rabbit hole the other night with all these wild accusations about him. I mean, if you feel like being disgusted, maybe
I'll say 2 quick things about him. Imagine saying that when your teammate are dating arguably the most successful woman on the planet in history, outside of maybe Oprah. 1, 2. Imagine saying that when your mother is like a scientist of some sort or some sort of medical physicist at a very prestigious university. So I don't think that his own mother had an issue with staying a very successful professional in her life after having him.
I mean, the balls on that guy to talk to a room full of graduating students and basically say, that's cool. You made make believe for 4 years. You got a degree. Cool. Get it back in the kitchen, essentially. That was what. And did anybody look at that speech prior to him giving it?
So God, this is a rabbit hole. We are teetering on a rabbit hole, and we won't go down it. But I will say this: my understanding is that they did know, they wanted it.
Okay.
Look, you guys know where I stand on this whole thing. We don't have to go down that path. I mean, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I don't think. And I know there's probably some people listening to this rolling their eyes, whatever. We're not for everybody, but I will say this. I don't know where the Chiefs come back from this, if that man is still on the team. I mean, his jersey sales were the record break. I don't know. That just blows my mind that his was the most highest selling jersey since that whole thing. I don't know how the football season's going to start, and if that guy's still on that team, the players union's going to get involved. I guess they just can't fire him. He was expressing his opinion, which I guess is, obviously his opinion, but good Lord, not a good look.
He's a kicker. They're a dime a dozen. He could get cut just because he's a kicker. I mean, I don't think they need an excuse to cut him. He's just.
I cut him every week on my fantasy team.
It's not like it's Mahomes saying it. He's the kicker. Like, he's the most, dispensable position in all of football. Like, kickers are constantly getting cut and picked up, not just in fantasy world, but in the real world weekly. I mean, you miss 3 kicks on a Sunday, Monday you're on waivers, and Tuesday the next guy's in. So, like,
yeah.
Hey, the Cowboys had a kicker last year that hadn't kicked since high school, and he made like 37 field goals in a row. So
yeah. I mean, like,
it's just,
they're out there.
Get rid of them. Yeah,
there are other options. That's all we're saying. All right, we'll leave it there. I probably got in trouble anyway. Whatever. All right, for Trevor, for Dan, gentlemen, it's always nice, and for Nikki too. We couldn't make it today, but we will be back with Nikki very soon. Always nice to talk with all of you. Be sure to go and support our title sponsors. Hopefully they will remain our title sponsors after everything that I just said. But go out to truelinkswear.com and you can use code unfiltered15. Go make yourself a hat. They got the hat chef. They got the polo chef. Those are 2 really cool things. You could pick out different decals. I made this hat for myself, and you could do the same, and you could save a little cash using that code as well. So
this hoodie is great, by the way. This hoodie is awesome. Get you one of these. Yep.
What's interesting about that? So my wife has one as well. Have you spilled anything on it yet?
I don't think so.
If you do,
I don't think so.
You'll notice it just beads. Like it
perfect
flies right off of you. It's wonderful. So go pick out one. Follow us at Golf Unfiltered on all social medias. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. I think that's all. I said a lot. Have a good night, everyone.
See ya.